today we have with us Dr. Shah. Thank you very much, Dr. Shah, for coming and talking to us about dark circles. First question I want to ask you is, what are the main causes of dark circles that you see in your clinic?
Yeah, I kind of look at dark circles into three essential broad categories. Either you have structural, positional, or true hyperpigmentation. And I think it's important that people categorize your dark circles specifically into one of these three groups because they're going to be all treated differently. And I think if you use the wrong treatment, you're going to be frustrated and not see results.
When do people generally come in to see you about their dark circles?
That's a good question. So I think mostly people come in for other things actually, and then dark circles becomes part of the conversation often. But usually probably in your like mid-20s, I start to see a lot of these people coming in with that sort of genetic hyperpigmentation around the eyes. And then really I've noticed basically 40s is really the age where it starts to become more and more obvious and concerning, especially when we start to develop wrinkles. We have wrinkles plus dark circles. I think that really is the trigger for a lot of people to try to have them treated.
I agree. What I've seen in my clinic is that they tend to, it starts in youth. And it tends to, by the time you get to 20s and people are thinking about, getting married or going to university, they start thinking about treating their skin at that point. But it progressively gets worse. And I find that near menopause, dark circles appear much worse. Do you know the cause for why it tends to appear darker in the 40s compared to the 20s?
I'm not really sure. I think that also plays a role. Like you said, the dryness. I think hydration under the eyes is so important and often neglected by people. I think as we age, a lot of people don't use sunscreen underneath the eyes, especially in skin of color. It's something that's not emphasized often. So I was somebody who doesn't burn in the sun. And so I would always think that tanning, like that was our thing. There's a big movement in the United States. It was called like gym, tan, laundry. I actually grew up during that time period where we'd go to the gym, we'd go tanning at the gym, and then we'd like do our laundry. This is like a part of the thing. Some people will know what I'm talking about. But obviously, that's horrible for your skin. But that accumulative sun damage over time will actually make those dark circles worse. So I think it's a combination of habits like using makeup wipes underneath the eyes that can cause that post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. Dryness, as our eyes just start to produce less oil with time as we age. That's one of the signs of aging, is just decreased oil production. And then I think it's cumulative sun exposure. So there's probably multifaceted.
Okay, so what are your favorite ingredients when it comes to periorbital pigmentation?
I think number one, for me is, I always stress tinted sunscreens. Tinted sunscreens for me is just so important, especially us knowing that visible light is playing a big role in hyperpigmentation nowadays, that we focus on first a tinted sunscreen, because anything we do, you have to basically protect your investment. And essentially you're not going to buy, a really nice car and then, treat it like garbage and not protect it, right? So you're definitely going to try to protect that investment. So I think sunscreen is the way to protect that investment. So anything we do going forward really needs to focus on getting a good tinted sunscreen that you can wear around the eyes and that doesn't irritate the eyes first.
I've looked into this just for myself, and I've really struggled to find a good SPF50 to wear around the eye area. So right now, for example, I'm wearing this one, the Color Science one. Have you seen it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I like the fact that it's tinted, but it's quite a thick formula. So have you tried, when I tried, like today I put it on and it's so thick that I'm pulling my eye. I don't know if it's the same for you, but I'm pulling the skin around my eyes to almost rub it in, because it's such a thick formula. What have you found? Have you found anything?
I found that exact same thing about the Color Science one. It's very thick, and for me, like, to be honest, like, it's a little bit too full coverage for me. I actually ended up giving that to my wife. I was gifted it as PR, and I was like, oh, you'll like this more than I like it. But for me, it was just too full coverage, and I don't wear makeup, and so for me, it was just not something that I was used to doing. And like you said, I thought it was very thick and kind of hard and difficult to apply to the under eye area. And so, but it is a nice one though. I wish I would have stuck with it, but it was a little bit too full coverage for me.
Have you found one that you prefer that I can recommend or that I can try myself?
Yeah, I like the Elta for around the eyes. I think that you're more mineral sunscreens tend to be a little bit better, just because they cost less eye irritation. And I kind of like the Alpha MD has been putting out pure mineral formulas now that have that tinted iron oxide component to them. So I think that the tinted Alpha MD sunscreen is a good option.
All right, I'll have a look at that. That sounds really interesting. Okay, so what would you say are the biggest mistakes you've seen being made when it comes to treating dark circles, either at home or DIY or in clinic?
First thing I would say is that first, not identifying the correct thing, right? So you start buying eye creams that are targeted at hyperpigmentation, but you truly have that volume loss around the eyes, and really nothing that you do is going to help. So I think the first mistake is not identifying the correct type of dark circle that you have. And then the second thing, I see a lot of DIY, some, lemon underneath the eyes, turmeric underneath the eyes. These things are really not going to help you much or noticeably at all. So that's definitely something that I've seen people make a mistake with. And then also makeup wipes. I think a lot of people use makeup wipes, and I think that dragging all the time when they remove their mascara also contributes to hyperpigmentation. So as far as elimination wise, I would remove makeup wipes and you kind of use more of a gentle cleanser in this area. And then I think ingredient wise, I think that people buy a lot of eye creams that say this is helpful for dark circles, but doesn't have anything that treats true hyperpigmentation. So caffeine can be helpful for dark circles if you have more of like a vascular type of dark circle, or you have bags underneath the eyes. But if you have true hyperpigmentation, you want to complement that caffeine with other ingredients that are going to fade hyperpigmentation. And so I think that choosing the wrong eye cream with the wrong ingredients also plays a role.
Yeah. So which are your favorite actives then when it comes to periorbital pigmentation?
I think if you can tolerate it, retinols would be one of the best things that you could do. I personally do not tolerate retinol underneath my eye. I've tried it multiple formulations, and I just find that I have very sensitive eyelid skin. And so if you could tolerate it, it would be one of my first choices. Kojic acid would be good options, alpha-arbutin.
So you like alpha-arbutin, kojic acid, vitamin A,
niacinamide, vitamin C, tranexamic acid. Pretty much anything that fades hyperpigmentation is worth it for me. I think that if you get 2 or 3 of these ingredients, that's where you're going to probably see the most effect with it. But I think a combination of ingredients is helpful.
Okay, right. So moving on to your thoughts on the Dark Circles kit.
I have my kit. My wife has the kit, so I don't have it in hand. But, she has dark circles. And so for her, she was like, oh, I'm definitely going to use it. So she has it right now. But yeah, I have it. And, if I'm, having my wife use it, then it's something that I believe in, I think it's a great product. I like that. First, I like some of these sort of simpler kits that exist, where it just makes it clear, like what to use and when to use it for people. Because I think the problem a lot of times is if you wanted to get all those ingredients that we talked about, how do you find an eye cream that has all of those? You'd really end up needing to buy a bunch of products like from The Ordinary or the Inkey List, where it's like, I got the niacinamide, then I'm going to layer it with the kojic acid. Are these stable together? I'm going to layer it with the alpha-arbutin and all these things to try to see the same effects. And so I like that it's all of these ingredients sort of wrapped into one. I think it makes it easy. I think it's clear what it is, right? Like it's a dark circle kit to treat periorbital hyperpigmentation. So I think it's pretty straightforward, and I like a lot of the ingredients that are in it.
Oh, amazing. I think I do get asked this a lot, and I actually did a video on how to layer The Ordinary, for example, for dark circles. And what I realized was actually how many actives can I put on the skin before it's actually no longer effective? If I put the 4th layer of actives on, is it really penetrating the skin? Maybe not. And then you just think actually it's probably the first 2 layers. So you might get your vitamin A, you may get some niacinamide, but there's no way you're going to get 10 more actives into the skin. Do you find that you're getting asked that quite a lot? Like, how do I layer?
Yeah, I think it becomes confusing. I actually have like panic attacks when people like send me a list of like 100 products that they bought, because I'm like, well, I don't even know how these things go together. You know what I mean? Like they're just so complicated the way that these ingredients all interact together. And so I'm really a big proponent of simplicity. And so for me, like I love The Ordinary, the price points are, right on target. But for me, I'm like, pick things that you need, right? Like, okay, I'm going to use niacinamide deliberately to treat hyperpigmentation and oily skin, right? And then you choose that active. but you don't need to add in like 7 other ones on top of that. You need to be like very deliberate about what you choose. And then if chosen correctly, I mean, you can really make an amazing skincare routine out of these things.
I know, I agree with you. So what's your skincare routine then?
So I have a very simple skincare routine, and it's only gotten more complex because of social media. Like my skin was happy, it was fine. And then, you get a bunch of products, they send you, people want you to try things out. They're asking you, what do you think about XYZ thing? And you start using it, and then you have a bad reaction. And so it ranges in how complicated it gets, but my mainstays of my routine. And I think first it's important to know that, I have combination skin. I get occasional pimples, but I don't have acne. I don't have hyperpigmentation, but one of my main issues was texture issues. I kind of wanted to have more of that healthy and glowy skin. So these are some of my issues, so that, if people do decide to, copy my skincare routine, they know, what I have. I think that's helpful. But for me, I think first thing, gentle cleanser. It doesn't even really matter what the cleanser is. I use the CeraVe Hydrating Cream to Foam Cleanser, but any gentle cleanser that you tolerate and like and are willing to use every day is going to be fine. And then I use a prescription tretinoin at night. I also use an eye cream just because I said I have like very sensitive eye, skin around the eyes. And so I try to apply that first before my tretinoin, just so that I don't irritate the area around the eyes first. And then I just gentle moisturizer afterwards. And that ranges for me depending on what the season is. I live in more of like a humid area, but in the winter it gets kind of dry. So I use a heavier moisturizer. And then in the summers, I use a lighter moisturizer. And then in the morning, I've been using niacinamide after I cleanse with the sunscreen, and that's it.
Oh, nice. So simple and easy. And you don't have to worry about makeup. So actually, how hard can it be,
Yeah, that's true.
So have you got any questions for me?
Well, yeah, I mean, I have a lot of questions. Well, first, like, what goes into, starting what you've started here with the dark circle kit and the lip kit? How do you go about even starting? Like, what is the starting place, the first step or advice that you would give to somebody?
Okay, so I definitely think I went the long way around doing this. I'm sure there are easier ways to do it, but this was my route. After I completed medical school, so I went to UCL, I did my 6 years, and then I decided that I wanted to create the world's first professional grade treatment for skin of color for pigmentation, because it just didn't exist. Clinical trials were never done on skin of color, and the question that wasn't asked was, how do I get 0% or close to 0% reactions? And that's really what I wanted to do. A lot of the treatments at the time were burning the skin and leading to PIH, which just didn't make any sense to me. So my parents were cosmetic formulators. It ended up taking me about 5 years actually to formulate the professional grade treatment. Everyone needs to be following Dr. Shah. I think by the end of today, everybody knows just how great he is. And he's like the pioneer on TikTok. I think you're the one that made me get onto TikTok.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember watching you thinking, he's so cool. I want to do that.
Definitely not cool. Definitely not a cool person. But yeah, no, I think I think at the end of the day, people kind of clown TikTok when it first came out, and I did too a little bit, but I realized like people are there and they're getting their information from there. So we should be there too, right? Like you should go where misinformation starts to put out good information. You can't hide on Instagram and then expect to counteract misinformation that started on TikTok. And so I was like, I need to be where it is. And also like, I felt like TikTok was a little more authentic for me because I'm very like video focused. I kind of like to talk a little bit off the cuff, and I can't shoot the perfect photo with the editing and all that, like, and the perfect caption. For me, I'm like, let me just talk. And so it was a perfect platform for me because I was like, I just be authentic. I could present information. It could reach millions of people, and I could really truly be myself and counteract misinformation where it starts. And so, yeah, so TikTok, and then spread to Instagram, and then eventually to YouTube.
Amazing. Thank you so much for giving me your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you.